So,
Amazing.
welcome, Jack, to the podcast.
Thank you for having me on.
Very nice to have you back after our brief conversation recently when you joined me on the world record.
Yeah, that was very fun. Yeah,
It was quite fun.
It
wasn't
was very fun, but it must have been quite draining for you, like 16 hours.
It was strange. It was a strange feeling, a strange sense. That time just disappeared.
Yeah.
It was. It felt like I was in a different reality almost.
Yeah.
But we're here today to find out about you and about your brand.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, I have a little tradition on the podcast.
Okay.
So I do a 3, 2, 1, and I clap and we begin.
Okay.
So if you'd like to join me, here we go. 3, 2, 1. And we're in.
Good clap.
That was a nice clap, wasn't it? It's nice when it syncs. So, so Jack, tell me about your brand, Delches.
Delches, yeah.
Delches. It's your own personal brand. You're a designer.
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
So I think I'll start with the name, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
When I had the idea to do my own brand, and I was thinking through names and stuff, and I had all like these like cool names. I was like, oh, seeds, everything comes from seed. I had these like cool idea names, but what I really wanted was for it to be something that doesn't already exist.
Okay.
So the example I use is Lego. Lego is not anything. It's just 4 letters smashed together, and they've got it's its own thing.
It's become something.
Yeah, exactly. And so the name Delches is like my high school nickname.
Okay. Where did that come from then? Because I can't find. I don't find a link.
No,
to
it's a bit of a. It's a slightly longer story, but bear with me.
No, that's what we're here for.
So when I was in school, I was in top set maths, and so like everyone in the class, we all got like A or A star year early. But the key point is, we sort of finished the syllabus before every other class. So because we were top set, like not in a boastful way, but and then our class had this obsession with like the Great British Bake Off. So end of term, we always did a Bake Off.
Right.
So it was a very relaxed class environment, especially for like a secondary schooler. And me and the teacher, shout out Mr. Charhill, we had quite a rapport. And it was quite like a love-hate rapport and stuff. I remember once, instead of working, I was writing a rap about him at the back of class, and he comes along and he sees it, and he's like, right, get out of the front and perform it. So I had to get out of the front. So anyways, we had this like brilliant sort of student-teacher relationship, and one day I hand him like my test on his desk, and my handwriting's appalling. My surname is Delahey, and he goes, "Who wrote this? Looks like it says Delches." And so he thought he was being all funny. I come in class, he's like, Delches. Class calls me Delches. The year calls me Delches.
And it just stuck.
People I knew in other school call me Delches. So yeah, I thought it's got a beautiful story behind it as well, and that's where the name came from. Yeah.
I want to find out a bit more about this love-hate relationship that you have with the teacher, because that's really interesting when that happens, because they're obviously in a position of kind of like authority, and they've got to get a job done. Yeah. And there's a lot of stress for teachers, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
But can they do the job without building these relationships?
I think I had other teachers that didn't build relationships, and it was sort of like an obedience thing. And I think on a long-term beneficial scale to the growth of students, it doesn't work. So I'm very thankful. Mr. Charhill was such a great teacher. And even though he would, try and sort of ridicule me and I was doing a rap at the front of class, I think it was a beautiful sort of relationship. And I actually messaged him on Facebook and I said, "Oh, I'm setting up a fashion brand under the name Delches, thanks to you." And he was like, "Oh yeah," we had a little catch up. He's an assistant head somewhere else now. Yeah. But yeah, I think teachers, they have a role to help a student evolve as a person, not just academically. And yeah, and he did a lot of that for me. Yeah, definitely.
Can you remember any of the rap?
I can remember the whole rap.
Can you?
Yeah.
You weren't expecting this morning.
No.
Go on, I'm desperate to hear it.
My name is Bal. I don't eat halal, 'cause I'm a Sikh. This rap is kind of peak. Some call me Churchill, 'cause I'm always ready for the Netflix and chill. 20 minutes into marking your book, and then he gives you this look.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Why do you think he got you to do that in front of the class? Do you think it was to humiliate you in any way?
No. I think it was sort of like, how would I describe it? To sort of like test my confidence, I guess. I think he saw that, like looking back at it at the time, and probably thought, like, oh, he's being silly, like, let him be silly in front of everyone or whatever.
I think that's the moment where we can grow, isn't it, actually? That's where we can become more in those moments of standing up in front of a class and sharing what we've created. Yeah. And I think personally from this little story that teacher understood that. Yeah. That this was a moment for you to sort of level up, potentially.
Yeah. I think, he's definitely someone who has had like a massive impact on my life as well. And I remember when like I said, the class was obsessed with the Great British Bake Off. And for like the first 3, I never made anything. I'm not good at baking.
So how did baking get involved in a maths class? How did that?
You know what? I don't actually know. because like we'd like finished like the lesson in like half the time, and then we've done like extracurricular work, we've done homework, so like we just chat quite a lot. And like I don't know why, but a lot of them were interested in the Great British Bake Off. So that's how that started. But I remember
I've never watched it, but I know that it was big for a period of time, wasn't it? I know that it kind of was like, it was hugely popular.
Yeah, I never really watched it either. And the class would be like, oh yeah, see, someone stole their custard or something. And I'm like, don't care.
No.
But I technically won the one bake-off I entered for that maths class. But Mr. Charhill, he disqualified me because it technically wasn't baking.
Okay.
So there was like, he had on the whiteboard at the front, there was like taste, texture, there was like 6 different categories.
So you had to bring something into class? You had to bring a dish?
Yeah. Okay. And I can't bake, but I used to be obsessed with like hash browns. So I made my own hash browns the day before with like bacon bits in them. And I took them in and I got joint par with, I think, Steve and Rafi. And then Mr. Charhill, he's like, nah, it's not baked. You can't have the win. I was like, oh.
Why was it not in what sense was it not baked?
It wasn't like a cake or a bread or anything that. It was just hash browns.
Hash browns with a bit of bacon in.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
I love that.
But they tasted so good that everyone was like, got the votes,
And then I'm trying to figure out how that fed into, like no pun intended, it fed into the maths. How that teacher was encouraging you to all bond as a community around this bake-off thing. Yeah, it definitely was. And then the maths, did that help and support the maths?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I think it gave a teacher that respected and cared about us, and I think most teachers did in my school, but I think Mr. Child particularly, he really respected and cared about us, and I think it sort of, the bake-off thing gave us a less tension or on the breaks. Like, we had to take our maths a year early in GCSE, and I think that could be really stressful and panicky for a lot of students. But I think Mr. Child managed it very well. He sort of thought, if I can give these kids a bit less stress on it, but also support, and like like you said, like it was a community class and like friendship and stuff, they'll succeed, and we did. So I think that's a big teaching point for teachers.
Yeah, no, huge. There's so much to be said there, and so much to be taken away from that.
Yeah,
no, it sounds like he was an amazing teacher.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So how did you go from being a maths genius and a bake-off genius to a designer? What was the leap there?
What was the leap there? So
it doesn't have to be a leap. Were there many steps along the way?
Yeah, definitely. So I did my GCSEs, and then I went into sixth form.
So at this point, there was no kind of wanting to be a designer there lurking. Or?
I think at this point there was so many cool things I like that to like narrow down to one or even a few was different. I'm interested in so many things, you know, art, philosophy, maths, cooking, like it's too many, like, and I quite like I'm called Jack because I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the point from there to designer was...
I strongly disagree with that phrase.
Go on, tell me why.
I think it's important to have many fields that you explore, that you try out, especially at your point in your life. I believe, now getting to this point of kind of like 40, that the 20s is this brilliant opportunity to explore life and explore many different trades and many different fields and find out what you like. And then I've found from my personal experience, all of those different things that I was doing in my 20s and 30s have fed into the thing that I'm doing now. And if I hadn't have done the hundreds of other things, I wouldn't have a clue what I'm doing now.
Can I ask you then, what were the hundreds of other things you did?
Well, I was an actor. Acting was the main thing. Acting was the main thing that I wanted to pursue. But then that took me into stuff behind the scenes in the theatre. That took me into technician type stuff. That took me into wanting to be a director, a writer, a producer. So those were things within the creative fields. But then I had to do normal jobs as well to support my family. So I worked in a bank for a while. Become a salesman. I've done driving jobs. Like the list is like endless. But without all of those elements, now that I'm at 40, I finally feel comfortable with what I'm doing, and I feel like I've found something that I can channel every single one of those things into one thing, and I'd have never known.
I heard this quote the other day, and it was something like the irony or the melancholy of life is that it can only be understood backwards but must be lived forwards. And so
love that.
And I think in like difficult times I sort of play by that and I go, oh, my life was a bit shit at that point, but it did that for me. So I think when I come up against adversity, I try to do that.
Adversity is always a lesson. It's so hard. You can go through so many hard things. But every struggle that I've had has been a lesson for something else.
Exactly.
And I think there's been times in my life where I've gone through the same problem multiple times. But I noticed as well that was happening until I learned from it. Until the lesson was kind of done, it kept showing up. But then as soon as I'd kind of gone, I get this now, or I know how to deal with this better, then that thing kind of stopped.
It does,
which is really strange.
It's I think
But that brings us on to kind of like you also so you was also interested in philosophy. As well.
That's just
was that just
everything?
Just so much.
So I went to sixth form, and I did the first year, and I failed.
And what was you studying?
What did I study? I studied business, maths, biology, And then I failed at first year. Few reasons. One, I thought it'd be as easy as my GCSEs.
It's totally different.
I didn't put any effort into GCSEs, and like I came away really good. And I sort of went into that naivety in sixth form and thought,
happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm just smart. Like I'll be alright.
Yeah.
So then I failed that, and then I went through a lot of personal struggle and challenges as well. So I essentially like had to leave my mum's house, and I went to live with my dad as well. And I lost a lot of friends, like relationships and stuff. And so then at my dad's, I think to just sort of, because my mental health was really bad, I did get like sectioned at one point as well, for like depression and stuff, which I normally don't like sharing with people, but I'm hoping that on here, if someone hears this, they can, you know.
Well, I think it's really important to share where we've been.
Yeah.
I think that is really what does give people hope.
Yeah.
I think in this world it's so easy to feel alone.
Yeah.
And to feel like you're the only person that's going through through whatever trouble it is you're going through. But the reality is there is many that have gone through them troubles.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good to just listen in that someone else has come out the other side.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, someone else has been through that, and there is a future.
Yeah.
You know.
So I think my dad, because I was depressed, he wanted to keep me in regular stuff. I wasn't in a place where I could get a job really. So I started volunteering at a charity shop to sort of have something to do to bolster a future CV when I'm looking for a job. And basically, college was free if you've not got like a certain grade after the first year and you're under 21. So brings me back to the point of like all these interests I had. So I did loads of college courses. So I went to Harlow College and did business for a bit. And then I went to Welling and did enterprise entrepreneurship. Then I went to Ware and did a fashion course. Then I went to St Albans, tried to do A-levels again, picked sociology, philosophy, something else, failed again. And then I went back to Welling and tried to do like an access course, which is like a 1-year intensive course to go uni. And they all sort of failed. And I think that's why I struggle to look down like a proper interest. I think the mental health as well.
I think that failure thing is taught slightly wrong at schools. Yeah. I think the failure isn't necessarily something to cheer about and be like proud about. Yeah. But at the same time, that is a lesson. That is I've actually learnt more from the failures. That I've done than the successes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's not always like a thing of like, oh, I failed and I can't go forward. It's really good to hear from you that you've had these failures and these things that didn't work out, but you're still pushing on to try and find your way in something else.
And so fashion, I've always loved fashion. I said when I was on the World Record podcast, like as a kid, I would look at different ways to tie my shoelaces and like the arrangement of which holes they're in and stuff like that. I never had money for like, oh, he's got like a new Nike jacket or whatever. So I have to do my own stuff. So I'd like go to a car boot sale in Milan, and I remember I saw these like, they looked great to me at the time. They were probably trash, but like these like multicolored like rainbow shoelaces, and I put them in my little like plimsolls I got from Boyce's in Hull, and I was like, So fashion always. But I think fashion and style are two very different things, personally.
Okay. Tell me about that then. So what is the difference? From my perspective, I might look at that and be like, fashion, style?
Okay.
Yeah, go on, tell me. So what is fashion to you then?
Fashion to me is people who are, I want to put my words right here, people who are interested in building a specific look when they do things and sort of being in that space. And I'm not disrespecting fashion here. I love fashion.
Is it kind of fashion is kind of following a particular trend?
Trends kind of as well, things like that, yeah.
And which can be okay, and that can be a thing to do. Everyone wants to be part of a community.
Yeah.
And I know that one of your things, again, going back to our last brief discussion, you want to build connection with people.
Exactly that, yeah.
And so that's fashion does that, doesn't it? Yeah.
And I think style is like, people will say the phrase like how you wear it, not what you wear. But for me, style is just like, I love it when someone's just being themselves and they're just wearing their thing. And it doesn't have to be anything impressive. It can be like my stepdad, and he's just like wearing his like orange Ralph Lauren polo shirt when he goes to his taekwondo class, and he's got his little taekwondo bottoms on, and they happen to have an orange stripe.
It's more personal.
Yeah, they happen to have an orange stripe, and he's just wearing them, and like he looks good in it.
Yeah. So style is about the personal thing.
Yeah. And I think the authenticity to me is so important. I think, like, I love keeping up with following sort of trends and stuff, but I think you need to blur aspects of fashion and style together. If you go, if you want to dress well, if you go too far fashion, then you just look like a clone.
Get lost within the crowd easily, yeah.
But if you go too far style, and this is someone who wants to dress well, or however you want to take it, if you go too far style, then you're probably not executing it as well as you can be, I would say. So I think, you've got to sort of blur the two. Yeah.
So where does your brand fit within that?
I think I want, like I said, in that blur. For me, so I've obviously written down like my target audience, and sort of like 16 to 28-year-olds, typically male but unisex, blah blah blah. But I want it to be something that like can be both people. I want someone to wear it and they could be just like on their way to badminton, but I also want someone to wear it and they could be like going to like a cool event in Shoreditch or something. Like, I want to blur the two really.
Blur the lines.
Yeah.
And you're wearing one of your designs today.
Yeah. This is it here.
Tell me about this particular design that you're wearing.
So this is the first design. There's two different colorways. And this is how it comes when it's appeared. So I don't know about the lighting there.
Okay.
Feel free to open it at the top if you want. It's a little slide tip.
You've thought about every element of this, haven't you? You've thought about the delivery, the packaging that it comes in. It's not just you're sending these out. This is it's almost an experience to have this delivered on your lap in the packaging.
I don't want to cut corners on customer service. I want people to,
and it feels nice. It's not cheap material.
No. So it's 460 GSM French terry cotton. Like, for anyone who doesn't know, GSM is like grams square meter.
It's a really soft feel material. It's really comfy. Like just to hold it in your hand and give it straight.
It's just,
nice quality.
Not even just trying to sell it. But it's genuinely my favorite. It's my favorite hoodie right now.
Yeah,
it feels great.
Yeah, no, this is the first time I've I can see you wearing it. It looks comfortable to wear. Yeah. But the material looks comfortable on you. It feels comfy on your hand. It feels soft.
Yeah.
So you've not cut any corners on. You're not trying to make something that's cheap here, are you?
No. I want. I've got a long mission, but you got the label tags, QR code, all that, washing instructions, blah, blah, blah. It's got YKK zipper, which is like the best zipper you can get. And if you buy them as well, there's a few goodies in the bag.
Am I going to, when you say there's goodies in the bag?
Yeah. No.
Now, I want to talk about this as well before we go too far ahead.
Okay.
The elbow pads.
Yes.
Tell me more about the elbow pads, because that's quite unique for a hoodie to have elbow pads. Is this the blurring of the lines?
Kind of, yeah. So this hoodie is a crossover of inspiration between sort of UK rave culture, particularly sort of like pre-noughties. I was saying to a friend the other day, my dad, he grew up in North London, and he would tell me, he'd be like in a pub, and like someone would come in and chat to someone, be like, oh, there's a rave going on here. And then they'd be like, who's that? Oh, it's that person. They'd be like, there's a rave going on. Where is it? Oh, go there, find out. And I'm like, yeah. But I love the colours of it, and I love the culture around it.
Yeah, it's giving me 90s vibes.
Yeah.
The colours,
yeah.
In fact, I had a pair of trainers this colour.
Did you?
Yeah, a pair of Adidas trainers. Do
you know the model?
It was 90s.
Yeah.
And they were quite unique.
Were they similar to these ones, maybe, or?
No, they weren't. They weren't like those. They were more like running trainers.
Yeah.
But they were this colour, black and this kind of. It's like a yellowy green.
Yeah, like a neon. This is the point. I wanted to do. Cheers.
Thank you.
Oh, if you pass the bag, I'll put it on the bag. I can fold it up.
Put it on the bag. Keep it nice.
So I wanted to. I think first products. So I've got loads of ideas and stuff, but the first product, like, it has to be something different, but it also has to. I was saying to people, I watched the Charlie Puth interview when he was on like the Jimmy Fallon show, and he said he made songs like "Attention, You Don't Want Attention" to sort of get Pierce into the space and then become more of a name, and then he could produce like more wild stuff.
Yes,
But yeah, back to it. So it's like the rave colours.
So does it kind of start with the hoodie then? Does everything start there?
Yeah.
Is that that's kind of like the launch product?
Yeah. So my thinking in it is, so when I was building up, everyone does T-shirts. For me, a T-shirt, there's a lack of creative aspects that I can do to a T-shirt. The best I could really do was like a print of a cool design, or maybe change the way it's stitched or something. And T-shirts are quick and easy to make, and therefore good sellable items if you can sell them.
I guess it's a cheaper, less risk item if you're going to start something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say anything, does it, necessarily?
No, and I think
it doesn't say anything about the brand.
Yeah.
I think a T-shirt is a standalone item.
Yeah.
Whereas it sounds to me like you're trying to do something that makes an impact, that makes it is different.
Yeah. And so decided to do a hoodie, wanted to do something different. And so the brand is all about tying like English subcultures that wouldn't normally meet. Yeah. So I thought, like, what's really opposite to like rave colours, old English gentleman style tailoring, which is why you got the elbow patches on the bottom. Nice, it's a little nod to that. And the other thing, like I was saying with the prints, everyone sort of prints on a hoodie as well. And I think these subtle differences is what I was going for to really elevate it more so I chose to get it embroidered, the logo, instead. And I think with the 3 colour aspects on the line of the hood as well, it gives that sort of unification of the 3.
And I like what you're doing. This sort of takes me to the image that you're putting across on social media as well. Your social media platform, it seems fairly early days. Yeah. But there's already a style aspect going on to that as well, isn't there? Yeah.
I think
it's like there's a cult. You're feeding into a certain culture, aren't you?
Well, it's interesting that you use the word style because, as we were saying about style earlier, my socials, I want them to just be authentically me.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you know, you have to like tweak a caption to get attention or whatever, or put some hashtags in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's loads of pictures that I wouldn't use because they look naff. But yeah, like with style, it has to be me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's feeding through into how you're sharing this.
Yeah.
Sharing this with the world. So moving forward, then, what's the next step? What comes out next?
Okay, so the shop is now open as of 2 days ago.
Wow! So this is real early days.
Yeah.
This is real launchpad time. This is real. This is you. Yeah. This is you taking off right now.
Yeah.
Amazing. I feel quite privileged to be here at this moment.
Thank you.
To see this happen.
Yeah.
So how does that feel? How does that feel that you've? Because I know what it's like to work on something. You're at home alone. You're thinking things through. Yeah. You've probably even dreamt of that day of hitting launch. Yeah. And now you're there.
It's weird. It's really weird. It's like, it's so exciting and also like an anticlimax at the same time. It's such a weird feeling. Yeah, I can't really describe. It's just that was the best.
Because I guess like when you picture these things, you are hoping to break through to kind of like the next level. And it still doesn't happen overnight. It's still the next level is just like getting that little bit closer to the next level. But it isn't like, oh my gosh, you're an overnight success. Because those things they're not real anyway. Overnight successes. You know, an overnight success took 40 years to work on it, or you know, maybe not 40. But it took a long time to work on something.
Yeah, I mean, like if you take a musician for example, you know, like even if they have success really quick, like you're saying, they've spent time learning how to sing, learning an instrument, like doing this, doing that. So
the hours that have gone into the practice, they're pulling all the different people together. And, so many different aspects. And so everything's come together in the launch of this website. How do you get the website now out there into the world? How do you let people know the website exists? Because the internet, I see it now, doing a lot of work on there, is an abyss. It's a void. That you throw it. Everyone throws everything into there, hoping that someone else will notice something. So, what plan have you got then to have your brand noticed within the void of the internet?
I think so. That's one of the things why I said this launch is weird, because it's like I've done all the practical setting up, even down to like getting waterproof stickers for the packaging and stuff. And I have been working on advertising for like the last couple of weeks, and that's where my focus is. But as how to get it out there, I'm being persistent and chasing every lead I have. And I have ideas that come to me all the time. So I don't have my phone on me at the moment, but there's loads on my phone notes. There was like 52 ideas I typed up from my phone notes, which needs adding to again. And then there was like 5 more scribbled on there. But one of I went to, before I even had a product, I went to a fashion networking event in London. And so now I have a product, and I think now that it's on sale as well. Now that it's on sale is very different.
Well, it makes it's real. You've gone past the idea. Now you're a reality. And I guess it's now you've got to go work through all those different ideas. And people can find you. It's no longer that we're just talking about it. It is honestly happening. It's there. And people can connect. And I guess doing a podcast, was that one of the ideas?
I mean, I just heard about it and I was like,
had you already wrote down to do a podcast as an idea of helping you launch? You had. Okay, that's good. I believe something happens when we write down the ideas. I believe that's working towards the like almost like
it's like the first step.
It's like the first step. You write it down.
When it leaves here in your head and it becomes a physical, tangible thing. Yeah, definitely.
And then it doesn't matter how the next thing happens. It's just part of that process.
So yeah, my advertising ideas. There's many different scales. I've never used TikTok because everyone I know uses TikTok, gets addicted to it, but I need to have it for publicity. So, like, the small ideas, like, I changed my Bumble dating profile to basically...
Yes, I saw that. I like it.
to like an advert for my brand, and then screen record it and put it on TikTok.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm even thinking about doing something similar myself. I think that's a really good tweak on how to get yourself out there. I heard that there was a cake maker. There was a woman that did this. Okay. She was single and she was getting all these guys messaging her. And a friend said to her, "Isn't it a shame you can't just sell them all cake? You're trying to make this cake. Yeah. You can just sell all these guys cake." And she was like, "Well, maybe I could." And she just tweaked her Bumble profile to basically say, "Yeah, you want to have a chat with me? We got to buy one of my cakes." And it took off for her. It made her brand launch. Yeah. And I think the internet is a black hole of everyone is out there kind of screaming, "Hey, look at me, look at the thing that I'm doing," and you've got to find some way to be a bit different. I think, and I think that sounds like a really good way. Be on Bumble. You might meet your partner as well at the same time. But you might also, your chances are you're probably going to find more customers.
Exactly.
Aren't you? Not anything personal. But I think just that's the way that it potentially goes because you're in a different corner of the internet.
And I think, so I've got many ideas. So currently, the way I see it, for someone in a position like mine, it'd be different if I was Nike and got paid for adverts. There's two main selling points. There's the internet and there's in-person. The internet, there's a way wider range of people it could hit, right? But it's more difficult to get their attention. Yeah.
And are they the right people? It's like scattergunning, isn't it, when you're on the internet? It's like, I see it as like throwing the mud against the wall and some of it will stick. But when you do stuff in person, I think the majority, from my experience, the majority sticks. When there's that real human connection.
And then, the internet and then the in-person stuff. And like we were saying earlier, if I can sort of try and blur the two. So on the 18th, I'm trying to set up some sort of stunts in London. And then actually at the end of the day, I need a lot of people. So if anyone's listening to this and it's free on the 18th, message me at Delches The Brand, DELCHES.
We'll make sure we add all the links in all the comments.
But one of them as well is I'm going to a Rizzle Kicks meet and greet, which I'll do anyway because I love them. But I'm gonna go there and take a hoodie, take a picture of him wearing it, tell him to buy one, blah blah blah.
Okay, nice.
And like I know what I'm gonna say to him, and because I'm an authentic fan, I'm hoping he will buy into and be like, "Cool, I like what you're doing." Explain about the brand, stuff like that.
My personal experience with, and I'm not trying to put you off of this idea, I'm just trying to give you a little heads up. My personal experience with celebrities, artists that have already they've reached a level of success. They tend to have a team behind them that makes the rules. So even if they personally want to support you, they may not be allowed to support you. Because they may have other brands that they're trying to make financial connections with or have connections with that could potentially conflict. So they tend to be a level of celebrity persons that it's hard to get their acknowledgement or their buying because of that financial connection that they might have elsewhere, or contracts even. They might have contracts. You can also have. I know some actors that have had contracts for TV programs that have stopped them being involved with any brand. Full stop. Like they're not allowed to go into any kind of as an actor. That they've done this and then they've been like, right, for the next 12 months you can't do anything. You can't do any advert.
You can't walk in a shop.
You can walk into a shop.
You can walk in a shop, but you can't
you can't be seen to be associated professionally with that brand, with any item.
So if someone was like,
because then it could affect the character and the program that they want to perform in.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of complications with people of that level. Yeah. So it'd be really nice and wonderful. I'd say go for it. Try it. Yeah. But don't take it personally if they say no. It wouldn't be about you and your brand. Yeah. It would be about the contracts.
Yeah, and it's for me. It's like trying to.
Some people are really cool and they don't think about that at all.
Shoot all the shots I have, really.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Is that yeah.
So why do you need lots of people? What's that about? What are you trying to do on the 18th?
So there's a few things I want to do, but the main one is, and it's going to be hard to pull off, but I think I can do it.
Go on.
Is I want to set up like a catwalk in places in London where you wouldn't expect to see a catwalk. Nice. I think it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. It's sort of like you see these catwalk people and they've got shoulder pads that come up to here and like, yeah, if it's an art piece, it's cool, but no one's wearing that. Not even like celebrity stylists who wear crazy. It's like, no. But yeah, if I can like, again, like blur the two and also take the catwalk to the people, that's sort of my idea around it, and just a bit of tongue-in-cheek, really.
Yeah, I like that. I like this whole theme you've got going on of blurring the lines and just and breaking the boundaries and like there's a lot of people get so wrapped up in this is the way it has to be done or should be done.
Yes.
And it's kind of like you're going to the system. No, I'm doing my own thing. Yeah, like, and even if I throw advice at you, you're just still taking it like, okay. But I'm still going to do it. And that's wonderful. And I think,
thank you. Appreciate that
every true artist does that.
Yeah.
Every true artist breaks the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
And doesn't listen to the naysayers. And, and I think that's how you're going to really make a difference.
I think every step of the way, starting this, so like late last year, literally like every step, everyone goes, yeah, but it's not going to come off, right? Yeah, but it's impossible, right? And the way I see it is, if you listen to them, they're correct, but if you don't, there's a chance that they're wrong. So it's even like I'm trying to find a supplier like early on, and I just use Google. And there were so many people I spoke to. I spoke to like some British suppliers, but they were like ridiculously expensive, which isn't practical for a new brand. And they put me on to someone else, and this guy was like, yeah, you're not going to be able to do it or whatever. I can't remember the question.
We're just exploring how we can break the rules.
Yeah,
is where we're at now, and how important that is, and also with like the people that say no. Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah. What I've learned from those people is they can't do it. Yeah, yeah. Every time someone has said to me, I can't do something. Yeah, they're really saying, I can't do something. Yeah, it's about them. Yeah. It's not about you. Yeah, they can't foresee it for themselves. Yeah. So therefore, how could you possibly do this? Yeah. And then there's also more deeper psychological things of, well, some people might even be going, well, if Jack did that, what would that say about me? Yeah, yeah. So there's so many personal elements to someone saying it's not possible that takes it completely away from the thing that you're trying to achieve. Yeah. So you should, listening to the naysayers is the last thing you should do.
I think, so when I did my philosophy course, and I think the like topic for that lesson or something was along the lines of like commonly said things or something, and it's vague memory, but something along the lines of I was like, oh, this is the way it is. Like people who say this is the way it is, and I'm like, but like why? Like, like what are you getting from it? Do you know what I mean? Like, and
maybe there's comfort for some people within that. maybe there is certain people out there that likes there to be rules, so that they can feel that they're doing things right, or things make sense to them. Me personally, I'm not worried if things make sense. I think that gives me so much freedom for things not to make sense. And I think that's something for creatives. For us to be able to have dreams and to pursue things. I think that making sense wouldn't work for us.
I think and it's like, I was working like minimum wage jobs, still am part time, and like, I don't disrespect the job. I will still work hard. I'll work hard, not for the shareholders, but for my friends and colleagues, and and also to make customers happy as well. I like seeing people be happy.
And there's an important element to going through life and doing these mundane, boring jobs. And like I said, I've done a lot of these kind of things throughout the years. And and I think, money. We're in a capitalist society. We need to have a roof over our head and food on the table. And if we've got people that we need to care for, we need money to provide for them. So we have to do these things. But I think it's just as important to have something else for you and for your future self that you're working towards.
Definitely. I think, like, if I can do it, then I think everyone can do it. Like I said, like the places I've been in, to come to where I am now, for me is extraordinary. If I can continue, I think everyone can do it, and that's my sort of like life dream, is for everyone to be at peace, I guess.
So how have you found, like, and I'm going to be careful as I touch on this. I'm going to tread delicately. So if you don't want to talk about any of this, then we won't go there. But how have you found peace then? You said at some point in your life that you struggled, that you had to get help, that you had to go to hospital. Tell me about, let's start with that, how that was for you at that time, and before we move into how you've broken out, and how when I look at you as someone that has found peace, and has found direction in their life. So tell me about that time that you was finding a struggle.
So many things.
Was there something in particular that was making life not feel right?
I do want to answer your question. I'm just like,
it's just mind blown. By it, because it's so much deeper than that. Isn't it? Like these. I know these questions that I come up with that they're. I might try and make them sound simple. But then it goes back to that thing of making sense. Life doesn't necessarily make simple sense, does it?
I think it was such a crazy period in my life, and it's weird because it was almost blocked out from the rest of my life. Like, I can't really remember it. It's quite strange. But and I was in like this mental hospital, and I just remember like there was this guy who'd come in. My dad, when he visited me, he was like, it seems like it's like a cross between a prison and a spoons, a dodgy spoons. He was like, it's not quite as bad as a prison, but it's a bit worse than a dodgy spoons. I was like, all right then. But like, it was weird. Like, this new guy come in and he was like playing his guitar in the break room and was playing FIFA. The next day he was like fighting all the staff, like, and it was a really intense environment to be in, and especially for someone who wasn't mentally well. It was like it was like a lot of things.
Would you say being in that environment helped you?
No.
In any way? No. What did help you
then? Support from my parents. My dad was he was like sort of coaching me. He was like, keep going to the activities, chat to the staff, do this, do that. But I don't think that helps anyone. There's a lot of like...
the coaching doesn't help?
No, being put into a mental health hospital, it doesn't help anyone. It made me worse. Like I said, it was a very intense, scary environment. And then so the whole thing is you don't want to go back there because it's terrible. And so for like a while after, the doctors be like, how you doing? And I would say, I'm good, so I'd have to go back there. But the way they see it on their like sheets on their system is Jack was bad. He went to hospital. Now Jack says he's good. So it looks like it works.
On paper, it looks it looks great.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's really bad. And I think there's something they ask you when you have poor mental health. Do you feel like you want to hurt yourself? Do you feel like you want to hurt anyone else? And I think if I was in a position of power in the health industry, like in the government, the first thing I'd do at mental health hospitals is divide the patients into two. One, those who are at risk to themselves. One, those who are at risk to others. Because there's some people in there that are just really depressed and feel suicidal. And then there's these people that want to start on everyone. And mixing them
is not necessarily is not healthy.
No, it's really bad, yeah.
Why do you think they're missing this? Because on paper it looks like it's working. Because on paper on paper it looks like you went there and now you're fixed.
Yeah, like that. I think it's just like, it's difficult. Like all the staff there, right? That's a really tough job, right? They're there because they want to be there and they want to help and they want to make a difference. And then they're being stretched as well because of like lack of funding. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
No, this is really important that someone with experience can talk about this.
Yeah.
And so, tell me about the care then that you received from the people around you, and how that did help.
Yeah. So, I had. Yeah, I think so. It was when I was like living with my dad, and he would just celebrate small wins for me, and have another slightly bigger win planned. So a small win could be something as much as like going for a walk, and then maybe that grows into cooking together or something like that. And I think my dad was brilliant at doing that, because I've thought about it sometimes, like from like my parents' perspectives, and because I would like to be a dad one day as well. And I think there's not enough time to get everything right as a parent, but I think what they did was really good. Yeah.
One of the things, being a parent myself, that's I think is hard for us to see. Like when I look at my parents, sometimes I forget they're humans. Sometimes I forget they're people too, and they're not just my parents. Because they've been with us from the start, and they're trying. I think most try their best. But they're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna get some things wrong.
Of course,
aren't they? And then and as I became a parent, I'd started to discover that this is really, really hard. This is out of everything that I'm doing, this is the hardest thing to care for other little humans that grow up and change and face new challenges like every day, every month, every year. There's something new. And it's not that parenting gets harder as kids get older. It definitely gets more challenging and new challenges, and stuff gets thrown at you that you just like, how is this even happening?
What sort of challenges do you get then?
Well, it's because they're developing and growing and they're discovering who they are. They're no longer babies. Like my kids, my son's 19 and my daughter's 16. And it's life's hard, and they, when my daughter she started secondary school.
Yeah.
It was the time of when COVID started as well.
Okay, yeah.
So she missed her first year of secondary school, which is a huge moment that we change and develop.
Yeah, of course.
And so she missed being around. She was at home all that time. And then her mum had bad health. She had cancer during that time as well. So we had to really lock down. Yeah. And if we followed all the rules and did everything the government said, and a bit more. Yeah. So from when COVID happened until 18 months later, we pretty much didn't leave the home as a family. And so she lost so much connection at a really important moment of development. Yeah. And I can see that now having an effect. Yeah. And it's not just her. I can see so many children of her age having lost connection at a turning point, an important moment in their life. And that effect, I don't think we're even beginning to feel it. Yeah. I think there's going to be some struggles for years to come. And I think if there's ever a moment like COVID again, I think the worst thing that we can do is lock our children down.
One of the things that I likened COVID to, in a sense of the magnitude of the effect, is sort of like the world wars.
Yes. Yeah.
And like you're saying about the repercussions, there's still repercussions of the world wars going on now. Like you said,
it resonates. It continues, and it's trickling through, and and for other generations of kids, there's going to be a struggle of anyone that was born. And if there is a COVID moment again, when they say that children have to stay at home, children have to be separated, unless there is unless the evidence is so clear it's screaming in our faces, there's no scientist that can tell me that's the right thing to do. Okay, no one with just a philosophy, with an idea that can tell me keeping children separate. Yeah. And that when she went back to school, they were putting boxes. We were putting children in boxes and saying you're not allowed to step outside of that. Yeah. You have to line up in a school became a military zone. Yeah. That wasn't good for them. No. And there was never any worry about their health. Yeah.
And would you say this goes for all your daughter's peers as well? Mm. Yeah.
I'm seeing, yeah.
Is there a way you could try and flip it as a positive, and they find unity of the shared experience?
Or? I'd like to think so. Yeah. I think that would be really nice if they do find some unity in it. Yeah. But I think the struggle is that they lost connection. Yeah. That they lost people for a while. Yeah. Yeah. That they found that they were in too much solitude. Yeah. And so, I think that's a really good thing, that if we can champion unity, if we can say to each other, look, maybe we should talk about that time a bit more. Yeah. What was that like for you? And actually, for my daughter recently, there was a little bit of an upset at home, and I said, again, being a parent, you don't always say the right things. I said to her, when did you change? You were so sweet. and now you can be such a bitch. Yeah. And she won't mind me saying that, because you know what? I'm very lucky. I have a beautiful relationship with both my children. Yeah. And they know that I make mistakes because I'm open about it. Yeah. And And also, I think it's important to tell your children if they're being a bitch, they're being a bitch. There's not sugarcoat that too much if they're doing something wrong. Yeah. But at the same time, that is quite harsh coming from a parent, isn't it? To hear that negativity.
It's a weird one for me to speak on, because I obviously know the half of being a son, but not the half of being a parent.
Yes, yes.
So I wouldn't have the experience of being a parent and be like, oh, I can see it from that side as well. I can anticipate and guess what it feels like, but I haven't been there personally. But I think as far as my parents go, I think they've done a really good job. I think there was a lot of, so my parents split up when I was 4 years old. Mm-hmm. And my parents flat out hate each other. My mum and my dad hate each other. Mm-hmm. And have for ages. And it was difficult. It was like they would never speak about anything, and like as a kid, I was sort of like the go-between between the two.
Mm-hmm. And that's really hard. It's got to be a hard place for a child to be this like middle person. And again, that's just I think, you know, being a parent myself and having relationship problems, and it's trying to juggle how the kid works within that. Is extremely difficult. But you know, from being a parent, I know that, and it sounds like your parents tried to do the best job that they can. You said yourself that they did an amazing job. That, you know, that none of that was ever your fault. You know, having to be that person in the middle. I think it's just human nature and human experiences, I'm guessing.
I think as well, like, for me, so, like, as far as I can remember, I have literally, like, one memory of them being in the same house. They've been separate. So I think a lot of people, you know, like, I don't know, from age 6 to, like, 40, if their parents break up, it's like a big moment. But for me, my parents being separate,
normal.
It was always normal for me. And it was also, I understood there was also the other normal of parents together, but for me they were both normals. And then, like, growing up, and then it just felt normal. So I don't know, it's a weird one.
So then how did let's talk about the love then that sort of helped you conquer the struggles that you had then. That they were able to show you. So that you had your parents were separate, but you know, you got your stepdad here supporting you today. Your stepdad brings you here. That's a wonderful thing to see. Your mum brought you the other day. You know, it seems like you've got a good supportive network and a loving network.
It was very good. It's like I told them I was going, and they offered to come with me, and they both offered to drive as well, which was nice. Sorry, I've missed the question again.
We're just exploring that love and support that they're giving you now. That's helping you at your moment of liftoff.
I think
of takeoff.
I think that's what everyone really needs. Is you can't do anything on your own. Like you can, like you kind of can, but you can't. Like you need, at the very least, like support from people. If everyone, you
know, they're going to catch you. You know that at this moment, that you've worked on to bring all this together. That if you take off and you fall, you know that they're there. And just knowing they're there means you can trust yourself to go forward.
Exactly. It's like a tightrope, isn't it? But there's a net underneath. If there's no net, you're probably actually more likely to fall. Because you'll be panicking about it. But if you go, there's a net there, just you can do it, and there's no problem. And it's exactly the same with you launching your brand. You can do this, and there's no problem because the support is there. And I think the belief is the biggest thing. The belief, like, and like from my friends as well. Like, when I come to them, I'm like, I'm gonna set up a fashion brand, and they're like, yeah, you can do that. You can do that, Jack. You got it in you.
So tell me about the future then, Jack. What does the future look like? What's the dream then?
So I actually text Simon Squibb this.
I've rung on his doorbell.
Have you? Oh, the one where it records and you can say the thing. What do you say?
Oh, do you know what? That was an interesting experience. It was an important moment for myself. So in doing all this podcast and things, I've invested a lot of my own time, my own money. And I saw the Simon Squibb thing, the doorbell, and I was like, do you know what? That would really help me take this off to the next step if I had someone with a bit of investment. And I feel like I'm doing a good thing here, and I know what I want to do in the future. So I'll press the doorbell and just say that. And I pressed the doorbell, and I was expecting, I don't know what, I think in my mind I got this idea that it was going to say something and then I was going to get to speak. But you ring the doorbell and it goes ding, and then the blue light just flashes. And that is actually the moment you should just start speaking.
Right.
But because I got in my mind this story of I'm going to get a message, please leave a message after the beep.
I was
like there waiting for it, and I was like, there's no message. shit, I'm supposed to say something. What am I going to say?
Yeah.
And I started panicking, and I was like, I do a podcast. I'd like to talk to you on the podcast. And I was just like, oh, fuck this up, and just walked away. And then as I was walking away, I met these two nice ladies, and they was like, "Are you okay?" Because I was like a bit pissed off myself, and I was like, "I just mucked up this doorbell challenge."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, that's what we're going to do. Come and do it again with us."
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, I don't want to tread on your toes."
Yeah.
And anyway, I gave them a bit of support and said, "Look, I mucked up because I didn't do it at the right time, and hopefully that helped them to do it a bit better. I was there to prep them." But I mucked up so bad, of course, nothing came of it. But it was a good experience to have.
Yeah. I think everything, nothing's inherently good, nothing's inherently bad. So although that experience for you was shit.
Yeah, and not what I wanted. It's a long way to it. It's the other side of London, and
the way you could look at it is you've helped someone else.
Yes, and that's what I am taking from it.
Yeah, exactly.
The next person that came along, I was able to prep them.
Yeah.
And also for me personally, that self-talk and telling myself stories of how things are going to work and play out isn't always helpful. Yeah. To do that, it isn't always helpful to be like, these are the process that I'm going to go through. Yeah. Sometimes you should just experience the moment and not force it. Yeah. And I was trying to I was very much trying to force it. Yeah. And it didn't work for me.
Yeah. So the dream that I messaged to Simon Squibb, and it's a really flipping big dream. And so I want to figure out a system that works for everyone, like a social system that works for everyone, where everyone can be happy, everyone can be harmonious, right? And I think the obvious answer is sort of like devolve the things we're in. Have a community that lives on a farm, but then you still need to fund people to abide by law. You still want your doctors and stuff, right? And then I think taxes are good in theory, but I don't think they're played out right. I don't have a clue what it is now, but with the fashion brand, my aim is to if I can set up and run a successful business. It's like you've seen the army advert. If you can fix a board, you can fix a bike. If you can fix a bike, you can fix this massive helicopter. Yes. So for me, this is the first step in that. And if I can get to a position where I can make enough money to then, because I wouldn't want too much money. It becomes an addiction. It's really bad. But where I can sort of retire, sort of work on that, I guess. The sort of ideas I have at the minute, I sort of travel. I think travel is a crucial one. Because you can see how different groups and cultures organize themselves. But I think, there's it's just, everyone knows it doesn't work.
Things aren't working at the moment. And I think that, I think it's hopeful that you have a dream that's about making a change, making a difference, and making this a more harmonious world for us all to live in. What a great thing to aspire to, and to have found that at a young age as well. It gives you time to work towards it. Because something like that isn't going to happen overnight. And it's going to need multiple different viewpoints in there. So going travelling, like you just mentioned, is going to be key to that. I'm very excited to see how this journey plays out. I'm going to be watching very, very closely. Thank you. So what's the next thing past then having a brand that launches? So you launch this brand, and then what's next for the brand itself? How do you continue to help this grow?
So the preparation is I have the next products in the works. I've got the sample. It needs tweaking. I'm gonna need to get my own pattern maker to design it and send it off, whatever. But I think just focusing on sales at the minute. And I've got so many avenues, and I think just consistently keep hitting them, keep pushing them, just keep shooting every shot I've got, and then something will stick.
Yeah.
And if it sticks, repeat it. If it sticks again, keep repeating it. But persistence, I think, is key.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that as well. Persistence is key, and I've seen it so many times. The ones that persistence with the dream. It keeps, it's there. It's not tomorrow, but it's there in the future, and you keep moving towards that. You will get there. You will find your way. I really look forward to following this journey. So as we've gone through a lot of your journey today, I think I'd like to do a follow up with you in a year's time. See where this brand has got to. That'd be really exciting.
I think that'd be brilliant.
But as we kind of wrap up this conversation, then I want to go on like a bit of a hypothetical. If me and you we had a time machine here right now, and we could go back to that moment that you was in the hospital, and things were looking pretty shit and pretty gloomy. But you could go back there and give yourself some advice. What would you say to yourself at that point?
Just relax and enjoy, I'd say. Think, just like playing the table tennis there, just you're in there, just enjoy playing table tennis.
Just
enjoy playing FIFA.
Sounds like be present.
Very much that. I think that's what I'd say.
Nice. It doesn't have to be much more complicated than that, does it? So let's stay in the time machine for a minute. Okay. Now we're gonna go ahead. A year from now. Okay. Not too far in the future. Just a year from now, where you're still working on this brand. And you're launching new products. What will you remind yourself of? What's important to keep yourself moving forward?
I'd say stay humble and remember the people that supported you and helped you at the start.
Beautiful. It's been lovely, Jack.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing today. And just finally, if anyone wants to find out more about you and your brand, where do we find out more?
So I use Instagram mostly, but any socials at Delches The Brand, DLCHES. Or if you want to buy stuff, it's all in the link tree, but delchesthebrand.com as well.
Wonderful.
Support the mission, connect the country, help me build a plan so everyone can live happy and free.
Love it. Let's build that country, let's build that planet. Let's build a world where we can be happy and free. What a beautiful message. And if anyone was watching or listening, we appreciate you for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks again.